The Bastrop County Animal Shelter is looking for a new director after the previous one resigned.
This comes after months of complaints from former volunteers and other animal specialists in Bastrop County over leadership.
And as KXAN's Amanda Brandeis explains, those invested in the shelter hope new leadership will lead to positive change they say that shelter desperately needs.
I don't mind that our shelter's made a mistake or two. We all make mistakes, but to repeat those mistakes over and over.
Laura Jackson knows running an animal shelter is a tough business, but says Bastrop can do better. She specializes in spay and neuter and says it's just one of many problems plaguing the shelter.
They sent a shepherd mix out. She came back a few months later with 17 puppies. So one turned into 17. And as a taxpayer, there's no excuse for that.
Jackson is one of many pleading with the county to bring experience to Bastrop. Former volunteers recently spoke out about conditions at the shelter.
Kennels are cleaned once a day and sometimes have deplorable conditions which have led to outbreaks of fatal diseases that can run rampant if proper cleaning procedures aren't implemented.
There's some things that we need to improve. We're going to improve them.
County Commissioner Bubba Snowden is the shelter's liaison. He says the shelter faces challenges with funding and retaining staff and acknowledges that the shelter needs more structure.
There is a policy manual in place. It's always been in place. Is it always followed? Probably not. We try to follow it most times.
I asked to get a copy of the shelter's standard operating procedures, which would include things like how often to walk the dogs and how often to clean the kennels. I'm told such a document exists, but they were not able to provide me it.
Find the right person that knows how to take the lead and direct these employees, and we're going to find that director. That director is going to be a big key to moving this shelter forward.
Advocates are hopeful this is true because so many depend on it. Amanda Brandeis, KXAN News.
KXAN reached out today to the former director, Erica Thompson, to comment for this story, and she declined. We also spoke with the interim director of the shelter, and she tells us she will be reviewing current procedures. And right now, the shelter has 4 staff vacancies, including a manager. They also need volunteers. The Bastrop County Animal Shelter is working to turn things around after several problems with the shelter in the recent years. Last July, 44 dogs had to be euthanized after getting sick with distemper. The shelter had to be closed for about a month following that outbreak. And back then, the shelter reminded all pet owners to keep up to date on their vaccinations to prevent disease.